Once again, g'day folks. Just wanted to dedicate this video to water-fed pole care, maintenance, parts, variations and all the above. Going to talk about the Ionic Systems Hydra. We do cover quite a large range and with different variations in that range, and also the SolarTech range, which is in addition. So all the information to date can be seen at bluetongueindustries.com.au. So when you hit that website, there's all the different genres that we do and people we do represent. Going into Ionic Systems, you'll see different categories for water-fed poles and pole parts. So do dive in there when you're chasing pole parts. Otherwise, browse the whole website for every other bit and piece that we do and can help your cleaning business. So the poles come in obviously all different sizes, and if we take a look here, we have two Hydra 32-foot poles. So we sort of classify these as a 3-story pole. They're not fully extended. In the range below 32 feet, they come in a glass fibre and then a carbon fibre. So there is going to be a difference reflected in price, but within that price you're getting either a lighter weight pole or a more rigid pole. Head types can vary across the full range. So we have a standard Euro thread, which Ionic do call a grafter thread, and on top of that Euro thread we can attach an angle crank, which will have external pole hose. Other different head types, which we predominantly tee up with the larger poles, 45s, 55s, 65s, are the Swift. So you can see here, even on this 65-foot pole, which goes up about 18.5 metre, we flick over to a commercial head. So it's quite a rigid neck, and those neck assemblies can go up to 900 deep to get over ledges. So when you're at maximum height and you need maximum control, maximum rigidity, having a Swift arrangement as a head attachment will be very beneficial for the operator. Also within the range are the Vertigo. So the Vertigo head attachments are internal water flow, and they have either pencil or fan jet internal flow, so the water does go through the brush type. The Euro thread across the range is quite universal, because you could put nearly any attachment on a particular pole of that nature to the angle crank, whether it's a cobweb brush, a paint scraper, a window scraper, or even a paint roller, so, or an inspection camera. So it is a very versatile aspect of a thread attachment. Within the range above, I talked about height before, and above 32 feet, Ionic do offer another 2 grade of poles. So they'll go for a standard carbon and then a high modulus carbon. So that again will be reflected in price, but when we get up at those particular heights and we do need maximum rigidity, it is an option for the operator. So they do have British standards approval, so not Australian standards approval, for working around power. So they're 1000 volts AC, 1500 volts DC, double insulated handle. All the parts, as I said, can be seen at bluetongueindustries.com.au, and a breakdown of the parts most commonly used will be levers, TCLs. So these can all be purchased individually. CSO1s, part numbers, which are the threaded bolts, and P&O1s, which are the nut inserts. So they can all be purchased individually from our website. The body clamps, and I'll put a link below, so if you need to do pole repairs or if your poles are getting quite old, the body clamps can be also purchased individually. They're quite a cheap item. And if we look by the letter I of Ionic, we will have a number. So that number will reflect to listings on our website when you're ordering particular body clamps. On the carbon poles, the number 0 clamp, it being a step down section, won't have a number, so we call that number 0. But everything above that number 0 will be labelled 1 onwards for the body clamps. Even the base pole clamps, or the butt rings as they call it, also have a number when you look up the guts of that particular pole. So the pole hose configuration can come also in a couple of different variations. It can come in a vertigo or fly lead arrangement. So the fly lead are a tubeless pole. So the operation of this is quite handy. So if you're flicking between traditional window cleaning or internal, it's quite easy then on a Euro thread to put on a squeegee or a cobweb brush and not have pole hose follow you around. So on the base of section 1 of the pole, we have a receptacle. So when you do look at these particular poles being threaded, the fly lead we can disconnect. And the fly leads are the working hose which will go to your hose reel. So they're made up of a number of different parts. On the end of the fly leads we have ASJGs, which are Ionic's connection to a standard hose connection or a garden tap. And all these are quick disconnects, so they've all got John Guest fittings in the end, so we're able to plug and play particular fittings like that, or put joiners in if that's the way you like to work and you're on ropes and you're running sort of maximum lengths of pole hose and you're coming down the side of a building. The fly leads on the end, the sheaths are a 2-part fitting which click together quite simply. So they do wear, they can be bought individually to be replaced. And if you're finding you're throwing them on the hose reel and they're separating, I often say just a tiny little blob of silicone which is wiped in, or a little bit of insulation tape will keep those worn parts together and not having you continuously buy those. So the operation of a fly lead is quite simple. So it's a connection holding the hose only to connect to the bottom of your hydro pole. To remove the fly lead, it's pull on the sheath. So it's quite ingenious in the design and in application for those particular pole arrangements if you choose that way. So when you are running a fly lead, it's quite important that when that fly lead is attached to the base of the pole, and when we're dragging that pole around, and if you've got 100 metres out and you're walking around a building or house, to save you pulling on the bottom receptacle, grab your fly lead, take it in your hand and pull on the hose reel in this manner, so you're not putting strain on that bottom fitting and trying to pull that out of section 1. So that's very, very important. If your choice is more traditional and moving away from a removable hose and want some rigidity, if you've got a few employees that are using your poles and probably don't have the same care as you do as an owner-operator, we can go back to a footy threaded pole. So these are going to be a lot more resilient. The fly lead or the pole hose does run up the centre. If it's your choice, you can remove it from the centre and wrap it around the pole and let it drop to the ground and connect it to your hose reel. Care and maintenance going forward, getting dirt, grit and dust between the sections is important on a scheduled or unscheduled maintenance task to strip your poles down, pull the sections out, give them a good hose out, and you'll be surprised with the amount of carbon dust that you'll get and the grains of sand and dirt, which will free up the pole and make it work the way it should from day one. So I hope that's been a bit of an overview on the Ionic Systems hydro poles. We've talked about different pole heights, and they go from our standard mini pole 65, and Ionic also do an 80-foot pole. Lots of different variations there, whether they're glass, carbon, or even high modulus carbon. The different head types, the Euro thread, which Ionic call the grafter, will take an amplitude of brushes, which you could probably see here, and I'll put links below to different brush videos that we've done showing different flow patterns on the website. The grafter, the vertigo head arrangement, and then the Swift. I hope this has been a helpful video discussing what we have here today. If you want any information about the parts for the poles, care, maintenance and repair, any of the filtration systems that we do, the brush range, the Solar Tech range, please get in touch, bluetongueindustries.com.au. Thanks guys.